So you want to learn how to perform the barbell deadlift? Well, in this video I'm going to show you how. Plus I'll show you some of my essential deadlift equipment. Now stick around till the end because I'm also going to reveal the one massive mistake people make that causes serious spinal injury. Coming up. Deadlifting for me is very, very important. It's not only for my overall body strength, but I had a really severe spinal injury as a child. I fell off a horse at 8 years old, grew up on a farm, long story, and essentially broke my back in 3 places. It took me many, many years to rehab, and I wasn't really over that injury until my mid-20s. And deadlifting's become an integral part of my workout and my routine every week, but it's also one of the areas that I have to be very, very careful of when lifting, because obviously with that initial injury that I'm having to protect a lot, I have to pay special attention to my warm-up routine and the way that I support my body. So as you can see on the floor here, I'll get a pan down. I'm starting on 40 kilos. Now 40 kilos is a very, very light lift for me. I can lift it around the 200 kilo mark. I'm quite good at it because I've had to be to protect my back, okay? So here we have 40 kilos, and I'm gonna treat this weight exactly the same as I treat 200 kilos. I'm gonna walk up to the bar, I'm gonna respect the weight, and from the point that I grab hold of the bar, I'm lifting this like it's my max lift. So if you have a look here, I'm gonna walk up to the bar so that the bar covers my feet. And this is quite important. The setup for the deadlift is crucial. What we want to try to do is keep the shins as vertical as possible. And the reason for that is that if we crowd the bar with the shins, then we disrupt the bar path. And we want a vertical bar path as close to the center line of our body as humanly possible. Every inch that that bar moves in front of your body increases the load through the lower back because it decreases the mechanical advantage. So what we want to do is we want to keep that barbell as close to the center line of your foot as possible and the center line of your body. And the way that you sort of figure that out is when you're in the start position, you want to sort of drop a plumb line from your ear straight down through, and it should really bisect the middle of the forefoot there, and that's where we want the barbell to sit. So as we walk up to the bar, we sit down and set up as far as we can without crowding the bar. And this is going to be different for everybody. This is really important to understand. Depending on the mechanics of your limbs and also your mobility, your start position may look slightly different to mine. I have quite good mobility and I've worked on it a lot to be able to earn the right to sit down quite deep in my deadlift. But not everyone can do that, you know, and it's sort of important to go on a little bit of self-discovery to make sure that you're getting your optimal lift and load to suit that lift. Okay, so for me, I'm gonna walk up to the bar. Without crowding the bar, I'm gonna set my scapula down, and then I'm going to drive out and lock out at the top. Now the lockout should not be hyperextension in the back. It should be in the glutes. The lockout should come from the glutes and the shoulders and the knees, but we don't want to see that hyperextension in the back. Here's a pro tip. When we hyperextend in the back, we actually hollow out the support mechanism around the central nervous system in the spine, and what we've found is that can actually destabilize the area there where the spinal cord passes through, and with no intra-abdominal pressure and no support around that spinal cord, you are at greater risk of disc injury and spinal cord injury. So the concept of leaning right back and really hyperextending through the lower back can actually put you at more risk. There is some really interesting research coming out by a woman called Sarah Key. Check it out because she's actually saying, she's a very, very world-renowned physiotherapist, and she's actually saying now that it's better to lift with a slightly rounded posture because we get that intra-abdominal pressure. Now, I've trained myself to lift with a straight back, meaning a slight arch in the back, and that works quite well for me, and that's how we teach it here at my gym. But you know, you watch powerlifters and world-class deadlifters, they don't lift with an arched back. They lift with quite a rounded back, and they've earned the right to do that through years and years and years of building up that strength and conditioning. But it goes to show they're onto something, and maybe Sarah Keys is onto something with what is more optimal for lifting really, really heavy weight. What tends to happen is the body, barring any really bad injuries or issues in your body will tend to resort to what's best for it. So I think the jury's still out as to whether you want to lift with an arched back or a round back, but I do say this. The guys that lift heavy with a round back have earned the right to do that, so pay attention to that. All right, I'm going to demonstrate one more time before we load up a little bit more weight. So here we go. I've walked up to the bar is on that center point. I sit, try and get my shins vertical so I'm not interfering with the bar path. White knuckling the bar really tight with my hands, and now I set my scapula and drive out, locking the glutes, knees and shoulders, and then we come back down, sliding down the shins. Now, the concept of deadlifting properly, the very nature of grinding the bar up your shins, keeping it nice and close, creates a problem. It's got knurling on the barbell there for grip, which is important, but it's like a cheese grater on your skin. So this provides the first opportunity to have a pro tip here, or these suckers are crucial when we're lifting heavy weight. You can get away with some thick footy socks, you know, and in some cases some sort of tight trackies will be okay, but you want something between your skin and the barbell. At Unity Gym down here, we use these Tommy Conan neoprene knee sleeves. I will link these in the description as well. You pick them up on Amazon, and these are the best that I've found, and I've tried everything. So what this does is it creates not only a shield for the skin, but when we're deadlifting regularly, you are going to be slamming the bar into your shin, and you should really hit the shin. The barbell should remain contacted to your body. And if you're deadlifting regularly, which as far as I'm concerned, most people that want to develop strength, raw strength or speed strength should be deadlifting regularly, then you're going to end up with bruised and grated shins, and every time you nick them or hit them, it just doesn't feel very good. So throw some of these on, I'll link them in the description, and you will be able to deadlift regularly without having completely scarred up and beat up legs. Okay, we've got 80 kilos on the bar now. We're about to start pushing into that 100, 140 kilo mark, and you're probably asking by now, he hasn't done any stretching or any specific warm-up for the deadlift because and you're getting heavy. There's something really important to understand. Stretching before strength training is an absolute disaster unless your primary goal is to increase mobility or flexibility, and in which case you should not be lifting heavy weights whilst or after you're stretching. What we do here is very, very specific stretching during our workouts, but it's more what we call mobility routines and mobility work, and the difference is that mobility is usually loaded or moving. So what I'm going to do here is do some hip swings, and I integrate this into my warm-up just to see how my hips are feeling. Remember, at Unity Gym here, us trainers and our clients do a lot of mobility. We have a quote on the wall, true strength cannot be achieved in the absence of mobility. We live by that. So we have attained a higher level than average in mobility. We've got a great mobility routine. I will also include that in the description if you guys are interested with that. You can download a copy. But there's very, very important things to understand. You don't want to be loosening up the integrity of your joints with long periods of static stretching or isometric stretching right before you lift heavy. The only thing that I will usually do is do a long warm-up sequence. So that's lifting small amounts of weight, slowly increasing the weight up to my max lift or my target lift for the day. And I integrate some hip swinging with that. If you haven't checked out a video, I'll link it at the end of this. It's my squat routine, and it's a lot of dynamic warm-ups for squatting. You can use some of that for your deadlifting, but for now, all I'm doing is integrating hip swings. In between warm-ups, I'm swinging my leg forward and backwards whilst bracing, holding on for balance. Now, if you have a look down the bottom here, as I explained in my ultimate squat routine, I elevate one foot so that my hip doesn't have to hitch to get the foot swinging, because then I wouldn't be relaxed in that hip. So standing on the plate here, this is just a 5 kilo weight plate, I'm able to swing that hip and it's nice and free without having to do anything with my pelvis. Forward and back roughly 20 times, and then I'll take this out a bit lean forward a bit, and go side to side. Now, whilst we're doing this, I should explain why I'm in barefoot. When we're deadlifting, we want to be as close to the floor as possible. So lifting in trainers like runners is an absolute no. You can get deadlifting socks, which make it, you know, some gyms don't allow you to wear bare feet, so you can get deadlift slippers, but you want minimal foam or rubber between your foot and the floor. Now there's two reasons for that. One is the higher you bring your foot off the ground, it actually starts to create a deficit for the barbell. So the lower the barbell goes and the further you have to reach, which makes it less mechanically advantageous. Second, you don't want any movement under your foot. You want a solid platform for the foot to stabilize on, particularly when you're lifting heavy. Now with my deadlifting, it's always barefoot. Okay, there is, as I said earlier, an element of lifting heavy that is about self-preservation. My goal personally is to be able to lift well into my old age. I want to be deadlifting at 90 years old still. I'm 38 years old. As I said, at the start of this video, I suffered quite a severe spinal injury, so I take extra care protecting myself. Now, that provides another opportunity for a couple of equipment pro tips. We lift every day at Unity Gym, and in most cases we train twice a day. We do strength in the morning and mobility in the evening. Now, that poses a problem for our forearms. Our forearms and the muscles that control our hands that are in the forearm here are exposed to a lot of stress and a lot of abuse. And so you must time strategically the moments when you're focusing on developing that strength and focusing on preserving the tissue quality in your forearms. So often when I lift heavy, I use straps. Now there's two types of straps. I prefer the figure of 8, which is like this. I've put a link to my favorite straps in the description below. And I also lift with a belt. Now, I don't always lift with a belt. If I'm going heavy, I do. Now, this is a 3mm belt. This is really, really basic. It just gives you a little bit of support to press against when you're bracing for the deadlift and squat. I also use a 10mm lever belt, which I'll link in the description as well. They are the best gold standard lifting belts, and usually anything where I'm going to be doing really heavy or a lot of reps, I will use my lever belt instead of this one. But today, because of the purpose of the video, I want it nice and easy to throw on and off, and I want to be able to show you a little bit of the brace technique without the belt getting in the way. So we'll use the 3mm belt instead. I do recommend grabbing both, and I do recommend wearing these when you go heavy. Remember, there are times to train your abs and core, and there are times not to. And I don't believe when you're lifting super, super heavy weight, it is a time to have zero to brace against. It's another thing that Sarah Key does suggest doing, because it gives you a mechanism to push against, which helps to create that intra-abdominal pressure. Anyway, we all do what we want to do, each to their own. It's a debatable topic, but for me personally, I find lifting much more comfortable with a belt. Okay, so we worked up to a grindy 200. I haven't deadlifted for about 3 weeks, so you know, I just wanted to see how it felt. I'm going to now deload and do some back off reps at about 140 kilos, maybe 4 sets of 6, just to bank some reps now. At the moment, I'm doing that conventional deadlift. We're going to post some videos coming up over the couple of weeks for a few different styles of deadlift. We have the sumo stance, which is a much wider stance deadlift. We have wider grip deadlifting. Today I was using quite a narrow grip because I wanted to increase the mechanical advantage and make my arms longer. But to make the deadlift harder for bodybuilding and things like that, you actually want to widen the grip because it loads the shoulders more and it loads the traps more, and it makes you have to do a deeper range of movement, because obviously the wider we go, the shorter the arms, because we're foreshortening the arms. So we have to reach further to get to the floor. We even do what's called a deficit barbell deadlift, which is where we stand on a podium so the bar sinks deeper where we're standing, which increases the range of motion even further. And then the godfather of all deadlifts, in my opinion, is the deficit snatch grip deadlift, where we're at the widest point, the least mechanical advantageous point of the barbell, and we also lift ourselves up on a podium to create a deeper deadlift, a bigger range of movement. You will have noticed that I wasn't using much tempo on the way down, and this is a pro tip. To my knowledge, there aren't many benefits to using tempo in a deadlift unless you are doing remedial work for your core conditioning and your lower back conditioning, such as the snatch grip deficit deadlift. Charles Poliquin, the late Charles Poliquin, a bit of a shout out to him, used to use the snatch grip deficit deadlift a lot to really condition the back and the core, and also for bodybuilding purposes. And it's a fantastic exercise for that. But in regular deadlifting, there isn't really, or to my knowledge, there's not really that much benefit to using tempo. And you've got to weigh up risk versus reward when you're lifting all the time. The eccentric is where the muscles are loaded and torn apart the most. And when we're lifting super heavy, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to be slowing that down a lot and creating that much tension and stress on the muscle tissues and the connective tissues in your lower back and your pelvic region. So I don't use tempo much during heavy lifting on the deadlift, on the eccentric. On the concentric, I'm always thinking about lifting as fast as I possibly can off the floor, but as you can see, it's slowed down. My bar speed slowed down a lot, so the 200 kilo deadlift probably isn't something that I would be doing regularly, particularly because to do a second rep, it would be a real grind at the moment for me, and so this is close to my 1 rep maximum, which I don't recommend doing very often. So guys, hopefully there's some good tips in there about the deadlift. Just remember the key points. Lift from the power position, we'll get a shot of that here. Clear the bar path. The power position is where your hips will naturally want to go to. So you watch people who try to squat the deadlift, as they load, their hips come up to the power position anyway. So you want to find that power position, which is, it's going to be different for everyone based on the mechanics of your body, but for me it's about here, and that's where my optimal position is. So I want to lengthen my arms as much as possible and set my scapula down to my back pockets. We don't pull the scapula back on the deadlift like we do on a bench press and a squat, because it would shorten the arms, and essentially we want our arms as long as possible on the deadlift so that we can find that power position up higher. The power position is where we've got the most mechanical advantage in our hips and our lower back and our hamstrings, okay? So, clear the bar path with your shins, find your power position, and I like to stretch the hamstrings, find that power position where it feels really nice and firm, and that's where I pull from, okay? And then we want to lock out at the top, but we lock the hips out by squeezing the glutes on and driving those shoulders back a little bit and locking the knees out. We don't hyperextend through the lower back. There is no need for that. And the most recent research that's coming out kind of indicates that that actually creates a bad environment for the spinal cord, and you expose yourself to more disc injuries when we do that. Okay, my final take-home message is that whatever you lift with, whether it be round back or straight back or slightly arched back, you have to remain like that through the entire lift. So cat backing, which I see people do a lot in the gym, is where they reach and they try and straighten the back so it looks really nice at the set position, and then as they lift, they lose that form because they don't have the integrity and the core and the conditioning to hold the body position from the start position. That's referred to as cat backing, and that is not good. That movement under load that delaminates the discs in between your vertebra, which creates that environment where they bulge out and you get really, really painful injuries from that. It's the movement under load that's doing that. So wherever you set your starting position, you must stay like that for the entire lift. There can't be movement under load. That's where you're going to be delaminating the disc and causing injuries to your spine. Safe lifting, guys. Get it going. Shoot your comments down. Ask any questions. Share the video if you really liked it. And please hit a like. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, we're always posting useful stuff like this. And I'll see you next time. We're going to post another deadlift video next week. Okay, I hope that was helpful, guys. There are many ways to deadlift and we're going to be posting some cool stuff about that. In the meantime, if you want to catch my squat routine that I talked about, it's up here now. And also if you want to see some great auxiliary work, which we use to supplement or complement the deadlift, there's a whole playlist down here that you can check out as well.